All right, everybody, welcome back to the KSR YouTube channel. And like you saw in the thumbnail, it is part 2 of exhaust fabrication on Donnie's SN95 Mustang. LS powered, or Gen 3 small block Ford. For those of you Ford purists out there and know the similarities of the LS, no, we shouldn't get into that. No, we shouldn't do that. We'll start a war in the comments. Ford copied this and Chevrolet copied that. Anyways, I got work to do. All right, so I'm gonna give you an update on what we've done since the last video, but then also walk you through my next steps. So stay tuned after the intro. All right, well, I have seen you guys, a couple of you ask what welding equipment we use, and I'm using an HTP Invertig 221. It's actually a special 40th anniversary edition, if that means anything to you. It's a pretty good machine, been real happy with it. So if you need any welding supplies for yourself, go to usaweld.com and you can use WinWithKSR as a discount code, save you guys some money. So since the last video, I think I had tacked up the tailpipe in the last video. Obviously it's still tacked in there. I actually broke the tack right here and rotated it because I didn't like the angle of it there. It was a little not straight. So fixed that, I think, and you can see through to the other side that I have started on that side. Actually, I've got a pretty good ways into this side, I believe. So I've kind of mimicked it, and you can, like when I'm building exhaust jobs, like I kind of try and make my edges line up, because I think the line of sight, let's see if we can get it here, so you can look kind of down the shock and see the other tailpipe, trying to make it where they line up. Because at least for me, like when I'm checking out somebody else's work, I'll kind of get down and sight it. Do it with roll cages too. Like if your door bars are at different angles from each other, fail. Like trying to sight across the car and be able to see that the tubes are parallel, whether it's roll cage or whether it's exhaust or anything like that. So just fabricator brain and fabricator eyesight on things. So I did also fabricate a mount up in here. I don't know if we can see. Okay, yeah, we can see it. So it actually bolts to where the factory mount goes to right there. Has a tab sticking off of it for using a soft mount there. And trying to make it to where the exhaust is still pretty easily removable. Did a couple of hangers right there just to try and keep any side-to-side play out of it. They're intentionally going to be a little bit flexy. This side a little bit less than that one because it's shorter than the one over there on that side. But that's to try and keep the vertical bounce out of it if there is any. Just because I'm not sure how close it'll be. It goes away when it's in the air, at least on the drive shaft clearance, but to clear the rear end tube and to clear the anti-roll bar, there's not a lot of space there. Just like there's not much space between the gas tank, not even a finger width here. And right here on the corner of the tire, I can't even get a finger in right there. So jamming 3-inch tailpipes on this SN95 Mustang has been a little challenging, but I'm gonna do a time lapse here and then I'll kind of talk you through some of the different things and my methods best I can, and then we'll see you after I get some more work done.
All right, so the first thing we've got to do here to wrap up the driver's side tailpipe is to shorten the down angled piece of pipe to where it kind of matches the other side. And then we've got to turn the exhaust around the gas tank. Now, what I end up deciding to do here is to put the piece that's going to become the tailpipe that sticks out of the back of the car. I put that on my transmission jack, get the angle located right, get the location left to right in the car located in the right spot. And you kind of see you have to pull the tailpipe back a little bit to clear the gas tank. And as it turns out, the gas tank is a different shape on each side of it in these cars. So I end up running into kind of a problem where I have to slide the tailpipe, the straight section, back a little bit farther in the car, which leads me to needing a different combination of pieces to connect the two pieces of pipe you see here. Now, having done a bunch of different exhaust jobs before, I have different already cut pieces. You know, I probably have 20 to 25 different pieces that are already cut, you know, and they not intentionally are set at any kind of specific angle, but I might have a 20-degree piece, and then I might have a 25-degree piece, and then the next piece that I might have might be a 45-degree piece. All different pieces of cut up mandrel bends that I've used just through different jobs over the years. But I finally get something here that I can kind of work with, get two pieces tacked together, and now it's just finalizing that last little bit to be able to weld them and keep the exhaust pipe located in the spot that it needs to be in. So this little combination here did kind of end up being a bit of a struggle. You know, for whatever reasons, some days you can just see it and make the cut and get the, you know, the lengths and everything just right. And other days you struggle a little bit more. That's just how it is for me. And I'm trying to do this piece with as few weld joints as possible. So I need a curve, but I also need a straight section attached to the curve that's already the right angle to be able to complete this in the way that I want to.
Whew. I'm not sure how long the time lapse was recording for because I was busy working, and it might have caught me having a little bit of a struggle with this little piece here. So I was pretty happy with where this section it ended up matching the other side, and I had the tailpipe where it was matching for the other side. I don't know how well you can see it, but it lines up pretty good on the other tailpipe. It's within 1/10 of a degree. I checked it. So anyways, having each end of the puzzle figured out, you might think that it'd be pretty easy to, you know, fill in the blanks. Well, with stainless, where we're going for a 0 gap fit on all of these joints, that's tough. Because we had this height figured out, we had this height, and so this is angled here, this one's angled here. And it was a bit of a struggle. So much so that I've had a really long day. I was here really early this morning, and you can see it's kind of getting to be evening time. I don't know if you can tell or not. But anyways, I'll be back tomorrow. All right, well, back the next morning. Got the tailpipe out on the bench here. So I'm gonna be closing the ends off to back purge that and fully welding that up in just a second. Got the whole crew in here today working on it. And Drew's working on a cold air kit out there somewhere, doing something. That's one of the last things we've got to do on this thing, and we should be cranking it up in the next video. Next video. So I didn't film it very good, but the wiring harness is in the car. You see our little trans connector right there. There's also one for the firewall, so that the engine just one plug and get the whole engine out. Same with the transmission, which actually the transmission and the O2 sensors are all on a plug. So you can, there's a connector for the trans, but then also the O2 sensors still have their connectors on it. So you can very easily take the transmission out without having to fight all of the different wires and all that stuff all over it. Just take the whole wiring harness with it. So I'm gonna get to work welding up this tailpipe, then we'll put it back on, and yeah, I need to shorten it still. So actually the guys took it off and I forgot to mark it before we took it off the car, but it's okay. we'll put it back on after I weld it, and then cut it, and make sure we get the slash cut at the end just right to match the other side there. And then we'll be wrapping this thing up. It's been long process, but all right, time for me to get to work.
So like I said, I'm going to close off the ends of the pipe and back purge the inside of the pipe with argon. And for now, I'm just using aluminum foil to close off the ends of the pipes. And I kind of just take a regular roll of aluminum foil, fold it in half, fold it around the ends of the pipe, and I will either use like painter's tape to hold it nice and secure to the pipe, or rubber bands. And in doing that, it allows me to have a bunch of different shapes on the ends of the pipes and still be able to seal it up. Now, I have seen some other guys with some really nice purge cups, I think they call them, that either plug into the inside of the pipe, or they go around the the outside of a pipe to cap it off. But I don't have any of those yet. Something I may purchase at some point, but for now, a $5 roll of foil gets me all of the enclosure that I need to be able to back purge these. So why go to all the hassle of back purging? It's obviously a lot more expensive because there's more argon that has to be flowed inside of the pipe. Argon's not extremely cheap. There's also the time and the effort to cover the ends of the pipe to make sure that it's sealed up enough to keep the argon inside of the pipes on the back side of the weld. Well, the reason that we back purge is to protect the inside of the weld, because stainless steel, when it's heated past a certain temperature, will react with and actually suck in impurities from natural air. So that natural air is on the inside of the pipe, and if you are welding to the outside of that pipe, the inside, where there's still, regular natural atmospheric air, that air that's inside of the pipe will react with the heated up stainless, and you will get what's called sugaring on the inside of your weld, which is this weird, ugly, like just dull gray formation that will form inside of the pipe. And it's not good. It can lead to cracking. If it was a turbo setup, those pieces can break off and end up going through a turbo, and that's not very good at all. Could we have gotten away with outdoing it on a full exhaust system? People will argue for and against that, but when it comes to wanting to have a long-lasting exhaust and knowing that this car is going to be a drag week style car, the last thing I want is for Donnie to be out cruising on the street somewhere and the thing breaks the exhaust out in the middle of nowhere, and he's got an exhaust system that he's got to get repaired. And it's a beautiful exhaust system, and the only repair you're going to find out in the middle of nowhere is somebody with a MIG welder that'll booger weld all of your nice, pretty stainless exhaust and just make a mess of it. So I'm going to do everything I can do to not have that happen. So in this part of the time lapse, we've moved on to working on the last little section to connect the front part of the X pipe, and I get a piece kind of figured out pretty well and decide that I could shorten the V-band a little bit on the lathe, and it will help my fitment out. Now, I kind of don't do a super great job filming this part, but there's only really two pieces to be put together, and then it's just a matter of getting it straight with the collector there, and then making it to where each side has a zero gap so that I can weld this thing up and it's not going to pull or twist around. Anytime you have a gap between your joints with a stainless, especially with stainless material, it's going to try and pull that gap closed when you weld it. So if you do not have really good fitment, when you take it to the bench and start welding it, it's going to pull the gap closed, and then that's going to make your fit up not good. So if I had, say, even a 20 thousandths gap at the back joint here, and then welded that up, it would pull towards the gap, and I might be off a 1/4 inch at the V-band connection once we take it back off the car. So the solution for me is just make it to where there is no gap and the pipes line up perfectly. So that way when we remove the final assembly, it goes right back up in the car just like we took it out. So one of the last things I have to do for this exhaust system is to finish the hangers. And I bought these really nice stainless steel hangers from Stainless Works. And I need to fabricate a piece to bolt to the car. So kind of fabricating a mount to mount the mount so that it can still be removed from the car. Now the Stainless Works piece obviously gets welded to the exhaust, and then the piece that I'm making right now, that will bolt to the car, and then the two bolt together through that blue bushing. I do wish they did some black bushings, I'm not going to lie. The blue really sticks out. So would prefer that it didn't have those blue bushings, but that's the way they come offered right now currently. So that's what we're using. Maybe we'll try to have a talk with them at some point to see if they can make some different bushings. And get a little help here from Drew to hold the piece in place so that I can get a tack weld on it. And then once everything kind of is lightly tacked, we will take the entire exhaust system out of the car and then fully weld up everything. Now, yes, I'm even going to foil up and back purge the tailpipes again for when I complete the welds for the tailpipe hangers here. And for while it's in the car, I'm putting the absolute smallest tack weld that I can put on the car. So it's just a quick zap with just a little tiny bit of filler rod. And in doing that, there shouldn't be any bleed through or sugaring on the inside of the pipe because it's such a teeny tiny low heat weld. Now, I could weld, I guess, the entire exhaust system like that, but that actually would take longer than just going ahead and completing the foil job and, back purging the kit so that I can actually put some good heat to it and get good penetration on the metal to keep each joint nice and strong. And as you can tell now, we're back on the bench welding up all of these joints. And I really sped up the time lapse here just to try and shorten the length of this video a little bit. But there's a lot of welding to do. And this is actually the passenger side pipe, which I had only tack welded. So I needed to finish the welds for the very last two sections on the tailpipe, actually welding up the hanger brackets right there so that Drew can haul them outside and go paint them while I'm welding up this. And it's actually pretty late after hours here on Tuesday night because our goal was to go to the track on Wednesday, and then Donnie was going to haul the car home for Thursday morning. So we get all this stuff welded up on each piece. Had to weld the V-bands onto the front of the main X-pipe. Also had to weld that last joint in. And then that will complete all of the welding for that piece. And while I am welding that, you can actually see CJ over under the car. And he's putting some reflective heat tape on the sides of the gas tank. And that is to keep it from, just to try and shed some heat from the exhaust to not get into the gas tank and heat the gas tank up. It's just something I thought because of how close the tailpipes were, it would be a good idea to do. So we went ahead and did it. I can definitely say it takes longer than you think it's going to take when it comes to doing a job like this. And it just seems like that's really the case when it comes to a lot of fabrication type jobs. Especially when you're particular and want things to look really professional when you do them, to make things match and be parallel with each other, that little fight to put out a very nice product is kind of tedious sometimes. But we're happy to do that for our customers, and we feel like it really sets our work above a lot of other shops, in that we try and treat every car like it was our own, and we're you know, pretty particular about how we work on our own cars, which you will get to see more in my Cutlass builds. But excited to have, you know, a lot of customers on the waiting list for trying to get their cars into the shop and have us work on them. And it's really just amazing to have, you know, that kind of following from you guys. But now it's time to put this exhaust back in the car, which you'll see happens pretty quick. Thankfully, everything aligns back up like it's supposed to. And it just pretty much falls back on the car. Well, I mean, if falling up could be a thing. But goes right back on the car with no fuss. And now we have a completed exhaust system.
Woo. All right, there I am. And there is a completed 3.5 inch to 3 inch true dual exhaust with an X pipe.
With a Drew in the background.
With a Drew somewhere down there. There's a Drew.
Beautiful mullet.
Beautiful mullet just flowing in the breeze. Yeah, pretty happy with how these came out. They are very, very even with each other. I don't know if you can tell by the line of sight, but perfectly parallel with each other. At least they're 0.1 different. You know, it's just about as close as I'm gonna get. So, that's what she looks like from there, completely fabricated in-house. And if you're wondering on the total hours for the whole job, starting from there, fabricating the X, doing the tailpipes, doing all the welding, all the mounts, about 35 hours total. It's a lot of hours. A lot of cutting and welding. Takes a while to TIG weld. So I felt like I hustled pretty hard on it and was pretty efficient in the job that I was doing there. Maybe some of you can do it faster than me. And if you can, good job. But 35 hours is how long it took me to do that. And that includes a little bit of time from the other guys helping them paint the mounts and reinstall it and all that stuff. So that's gonna wrap up this video, but stay tuned for our next video because we're dropping this thing down and getting ready to crank it. You can see it's dark outside, but
I think I hear thunder.
And thunder? Yeah, I think it might be about to rain, but we're about to make some noise of our own when we crank this thing up. But stay tuned for the next video. So appreciate everybody watching and subscribing and following along. We'll see you guys next time.